Hey there, Screaming Ghostface fans, how's it going? It's Douglas here at Dromblade Productions, bringing you another Screaming Ghostface related video. And today we're not going to be taking a look at any masks or merchandise. Instead, I just want to have an honest discussion about the Scream franchise with you all. As most of you probably have already heard, recently Neve Campbell declined to reprise her role as Sidney Prescott in the upcoming Scream 6 film, or whatever they're going to call this entry. Some sources have said this is due to a payment discrepancy, and other sources have said it was because she read the script and felt that her role was so minor and inconsequential that it wasn't really her story anymore and she didn't have a purpose in being in the film at all. Regardless of what the reason actually is, this has obviously sparked a lot of conversation in the Screaming Ghostface groups, and really just, I guess, in a lot of movie groups in general. And with that, there's been a lot of discourse, and I've noticed quite a divide now between Scream fans, and I guess maybe it's always been there, between people who feel, let Sidney either die or have her happy ending, leave her out of any future entries in the franchise, whether it's a show, movie, whatever, leave her out of it, and just do something new entirely. And then there's this side that feels entirely like this is Sidney's story and that's what the franchise is. The original group of people that we're introduced to in the 1996 Scream is pretty much what the main story should be about. So here's my question to all of you. What is this franchise to you? What do you think of this situation? Is this exclusively the story of Sidney Prescott and her friends and what happened there and how that's extended out all the way up until Scream 3? Because as we know, this was originally written as a trilogy. They had a trilogy in mind. Obviously some things got changed due to certain circumstances, scripts being leaked, major world events that happened. Does that story end with the original trilogy for you, or does it extend beyond with Scream 4 and 5? Because initially, yet again, this was created as a trilogy, and at that point in time, it was accepted by everyone, including Neve, that they were not going to be making any more. There were magazines printing that this would be the last Scream. This was a big selling point. Neve in an interview even said, we don't want to Scream 4, 5, and 6.
First two Scream films made a hefty $350 million worldwide, but E.T. has learned here on the set of Scream 3, no matter what this film makes, this is the end of the series.
We don't want there to be a Scream 4 and 5 and 6.
Scream director Wes Craven has always envisioned Scream as a trilogy of films.
So there's not going to be any more after this.
That made this day especially emotional. It was Neve and David's last day of work on Scream 3, and so for them, Scream is over for good.
I mean, this is the last time I'm playing Sidney was today. It's sad because it's a fantastic group of people and it really is like a family, and I've loved the experience, and there's a sadness to that, but it's okay.
So it seems that that was the initial intentions of everyone involved. However, as we know, they went on to make Scream 4 with Wes Craven, and now they have made the new Scream film, which I'm just going to call Scream 5. So even though Neve has been a part of these new movies, it was never intended or planned by anyone for this franchise to make it this far. And let's talk about this. Does this truly have to be drug out with Sidney Prescott? I have nothing against Neve Campbell. I love her performance as Sidney. I think she's a great Scream queen. However, I want to see Sidney get her happy ending. I would like to see Gail and Dewey, I would like to have seen them get their happy ending. These are characters who had already survived so many attacks by these killers. I think truly it would have been better, and it's fine to see that continued. I'm happy to see the story continued, and I'm excited to see what they do. But in my opinion, I think it would have been better possibly just to have let those characters have their happy ending and continue the franchise as an anthology. Many people out there never gave the MTV Scream series a chance, even though they had good writing, good characters, the actors did a great job, the gore was really good. Most people that have actually looked past the Brandon James facade and actually watched the show end up enjoying it. Most Scream fans do like it. If any Scream fans don't, the only real complaint I ever hear is that they don't like the fact that it's not Ghostface. I feel like the Scream franchise could learn from the failures of the Halloween franchise. With Halloween, people didn't like Halloween 3 when it initially came out, not because it was a bad movie, because most people have actually started to love that movie and it's been accepted as a cult classic. But at the time, the #1 thing is no Michael Myers. They hated it because they wanted to see a Michael Myers movie. And from my perspective at least, it seems that possibly the most healthy way the Scream franchise could continue to grow is by not making everything about Sidney Prescott, Dewey Riley, these main characters. Like I said, they've survived so many attacks, let them have their happy ending. I know that we're already having new characters introduced, but I'm saying it could have been done entirely without even having Sidney attached. With the way Michael Myers was written, even when he was brought back into his own franchise, he was kind of restricted in the way that they had already written him to be a family killer. He wanted to kill his family. So all those next sequels, he was trying to do that. And they could have been doing something more cool and inventive. A lot of those movies didn't do super well because they feel like they're trying to rehash the original and capture that lightning in a bottle, but just doing a very poor job, or just overall it seems like a very half-hearted attempt just to sell tickets. And I enjoy a lot of those movies, but what I'm saying is, with the entity that is Ghostface, the whole point is anyone with a voice modulator, some advanced technology, a black cloak, a Buck 120 hunting knife, and one of these can be the killer. So you can just take the idea of someone wanting to murder someone, get revenge for some reason, whatever. You can write that twist and include Ghostface, and people are going to love it regardless. That will still be more Scream than just having Sidney Prescott brought back in over and over and over, until eventually you have to kill her or she gets some miserable ending where she survives, but more broken. So I'm just sharing my opinions on this. I want to hear your opinions in the comment section down below. I really do want a discussion about this. I want to hear what you think and why, because from my perspective, it really seems like Scream as a franchise could really benefit by not being constricted around just these few characters. You can take the idea of Ghostface and what that entity is supposed to mean and what it represents, and you can do more with that with multiple stories, and you could truly do it like an anthology and keep it new and fresh, and also keep all these stories separate in the way that you're not going to ruin the legacy of what you've already created previously. So yeah, I think that's about it. Yet again, I love Sidney Prescott, love Neve Campbell. I don't disagree with her decisions, but I honestly couldn't care if Sidney does end up in the next Scream movie or not, because I'm always going to love the original franchise, what that original trilogy was meant to be, and I think that we can always cherish what Wes created. Love you all, thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed today's video, and see you next time.